And this person says, I'm still waiting for physical evidence and verifiable facts that your God exists, aside from the Bible, which humans wrote.
If I understand the question correctly, you're asking for verifiable evidence that my God exists. I think that design demands a designer. If I was walking through the woods and found a painting hanging on a tree, and I looked around and could find no evidence of a human ever having been there, no footprints, no evidence at all, I would still conclude there was a painter. If I was walking through the beach, along the beach, and I found, John loves Mary written in the sand, I would never dream that the waves did that. I would assume that because these sand molecules or grains are arranged in a particular order, they are designed to give a message. So I would conclude that there was some level of intelligence here that created this. Now, that would depend on how intelligent Mary and John are, but there's some level of intelligence here. Design always demands a designer. A painting testifies there was a painter, whether you ever see him or not. A building is proof there was a builder. When we dig through the ground and we find evidence of an ancient civilization, if you start in archaeology, you're digging down in the ground and you find some stones arranged in a circle. They conclude somebody did it. Because this is obvious, it doesn't happen as a natural thing. And the archaeologists look at this all the time, and they see evidence in the ground for a human designer. Why we can't look at the world we see through the microscope or the telescope or our eyeballs and see that there is a designer, the evidence is shouting at us. The watch is proof there was a watchmaker. Now, some people don't like that idea because if there's a designer, then there might be some rules. And that's really what they're running from. Creation itself is evidence of a creator. I don't have to see the watchmaker to believe he exists. When I was in Japan a year ago, I did not get to see the guy who made the Casio Databank watch. But I believe there was one. I never saw the guy who designed this. As far as I know, this is the world's largest rock group. But you can ask any evolutionist, say, fellas, and I like asking the question, I'll say, do you think is there any possibility in trillions of years that these faces could appear on this rock by chance natural processes like exfoliation or thermal expansion or, erosion or wind abrasion? They'll say, no, it's probably not going to happen. One chance in maybe a couple of gazillion. Okay. And yet, they think that George Washington himself, with 50 trillion cells in his complex body, happened by chance. Well, you're welcome to believe that, but that's not logical and it's not science. It's pure religion, and you need to simply admit that. So they're always avoiding the design argument. In the textbooks, they say plants are adapted to their environment. Gills are an adaptation to living in water. Well, how did they adapt before? How did they live before they adapted the gills? Oh, for millions of years, they all died. None of them lived. Yeah. They don't use the word design because textbooks avoid using the word design because that automatically leads to the logical conclusion, hey, who's the designer? Okay? My watch holds 300 phone numbers. It's a calculator, stopwatch, alarm clock, and a countdown timer. It does not tell time. I have to look at it. But there had to be a designer. You don't have to meet the designer to believe he exists. The creation is proof there was a creator. People say, where's the evidence for God? I say, do you have to light a candle to see the sun? I mean, look around. How you can study biology and not see an incredible amount of design from the molecular level, through the cellular level, through the tissue, organ level, through the entire structure, through the interrelationship of symbiosis relationships, through the universe, the planets, going around the sun, and the incredible mathematics behind all this. Most of the great scientists of the first few hundred years of science were creationists looking for some way to figure out the mind of the designer. Science ought to bring us to the creator. It's obvious. I see design, I conclude designer. I think it is totally illogical to walk through the woods and find a painting and say, I can't see the painter, so he doesn't exist. And that's what evolutionists are doing.
Okay. The next question.